na našu terminu 30 godina Ahmića, ne u naše ime. Da smo večeras u Sarajevu, sjetili bi se žrtava Trusine i Ahmića, ali mi smo u Zagrebu i govorimo o onome što je prije svega naša odgovornost. A naša odgovornost suočiti se sa zločinima počinjenima u naše ime. Na početku tribine prikazat ćemo video materijal u produkciji Centra za tranzicijsku pravdu, koji je nastao na osnovu njihovog dugogodišnjeg rada kao jedine agencije koja je pratila sva suđenja za ratne zločine u Hagu. O samom materijalu i načinu na koji je nastajao govorit će nam Mina Vidaković, direktorica Centra za tranzicijsku pravdu Sense iz Pule. Draga Mina, da li nas čuješ?
Hvala na ovoj najavi i Snježana, ti si već na početku rekla da smo mi agencija koja je pratila sva suđenja u tribunalu. Naime, Centar za tranzicijsku pravdu je naslednik agencije Sens koja je pratila sva suđenja u tribunalu i ne samo suđenja, nego sve ono što se događalo u vezi sa suđenjima u Haškom tribunalu. Želili smo se da zabeležimo sve tribunalove i uspehe, i promašaje, i uspone, i padove, ali osnovni cilj je zapravo bilo zabeležiti činjenice o onome šta nam se dogodilo ili, kako je to govorio Mirko Klein, ono što smo jedni i drugima učinili. Mirko kao osnivač i pokretačka snaga Sens, čovjek bez koga ne bi postojao ni Sens agencija, ni Sens Centar, a mnogi će reći čak i tribunal, s obzirom da je on pozivao na osnivanje tribunala pre nego što on postojao, sa nadom da bi se na taj način moglo sprečiti ono što nam se kasnije dogodilo, odnosno što smo jedni drugima učinili. Mirko, nažalost, nije više sa nama, nije ni tribunal u funkciji i on je završio svoj posao, ostali su samo mehanizmi koji završavaju detalje, ali ostale su činjenice koje su utvrđene u tom tribunalu i koje je tribunal utvrđio na svojim suđenjima, kao i koje je Sens predvođen Mirkom obeležio i pokušavao da sačuva u svojoj arhivi 20 godina ili više od 20 godina. Uoči zatvaranja tribunala ustanovili smo da imamo 15.000 ili 15.000 pisanih izveštaja, 723, mislim, tačno televizijske emisije po časovima koje su išle svake nedelje, nije propuštena nijedna nedelja, i 7 dokumentarnih filmova, ali sa svim tim materijalom koji smo napravili dok smo izveštavali iz Haga, uspeli smo da ispričamo 10% priča koje smo čuli tamo. I odlučili smo da onda, nakon što je tribunal završio svoj rad, da nastavimo. Prvo predstavili smo se u Pulu i otvorili Centar, Centar za tranzicijsku pravdu, i nastojeći dakle da sve ono što smo uspeli da prikupimo, učinimo vidljivim, dostupnim i razumljivim svima koji su za to zainteresovani i da na taj način sačuvamo i prezentiramo ono što smatramo najznačajnijim nalogom nasljedu, a to su činjenice. Kako su nastali naši interaktivni narativi? Svesni smo naravno da su te činjenice koje su utvrđene i presuđene u tribunalu, da se one manipuliraju, ubacuju, danas možda i više nego neposredno nakon što je tribunal započeo svoj rad. Ono što nastojimo je zapravo da se otkrivanju činjenica i tim pokušajem da ih učinimo dostupnim i da ih na neki način konzerviramo za svakako ko je zainteresovan da prouči.
To su mi bila jako zanimljivo rekla u našem razgovoru, kad si rekla da bez obzira na nespremnost naših lokalnih zajednica da se suoče sa istinom, vi imate i dalje jako važan zadatak, a to je?
Pa, ne, to je upravo to, da na taj način suzimo, da predstavimo i da pokušamo da ljudima približimo ono šta su nepozitne činjenice i ono što pokazujemo to šta se zapravo dogodilo i da se na taj način suzimo prostor za nekakva osporavanja koja, kažem, i dalje stoje, da razumno osporavanje zločina, a nerazumnih će naravno uvijek biti, ali od nas, isključivo od nas na ovim prostorima zavisi kako će biti pravda nakon HVO-a.
Hvala ti puno.
Ja sam, ako je potrebno, ja sam jedan od naših interaktivnih narativi, jedan od njih, gdje, ako imam vremena još da kažem neki minut ili ne.
Da.
U svakom slučaju, Ahmići su jedan od naših 7 interaktivnih narativa i mi ćemo danas vidjeti ovdje nekoliko segmenta tog narativa, kao i prethodni, i ovaj ima cilj da se zapravo dokumentuju činjenice, kako sam rekla, i da se učine dostupnim. U ovom slučaju radi se o činjenicama koje su utvrđene na 11 suđenja u tribunalu, odnosno na 7 suđenja u tribunalu i 11 je bilo optuženo za zločine počinjene u aprilu 1993. godine u Ahmićima i u drugim selima u Zasavcima u Vašmanskoj dolini. 3 segmenta koje ćemo videti su prolog, dakle taj uvod koji predstavlja put koji je od početka raspada Jugoslavije vodio do masakra u Ahmićima, zatim zločin u toku, u kome će preživali meštani Ahmića opisati kako su pakovani u najbliži prolaznik 16. aprila 1995. godine i na kraju sudski epilog, znači činjenične i pravne nalaze političkih i drugih dokumenta iz presuda osuđenim za zločin u Ahmićima i Vašarskoj dolini. Svaka od tih storija, ima uvijek 6 storija, je dopunjena i dokumentima koji su uvedeni dokaze tokom suđenja.
Draga Mina, puno ti hvala i hvala svima vama u Senci na velikom trudu. Sad ćemo pogledati film oko trajanju od oko 35 minuta i nakon toga slijedi tribina. Hvala puno.
What happened on the 16th of April 1993 in Ahmići has gone down in history as comprising one of the most vicious illustrations of man's inhumanity to man. Today, the name of that small village must be added to the long list of previously unknown hamlets and towns that recall abhorrent misdeeds and make us all shudder with horror and shame. Dachau, Oratur-sur-Glane, Katyn, Marzabotto, Soweto, Milai, Sabra and Shatila, and so many others.
In in 1991, March of 1991, a meeting was held at it's just outside of Belgrade, at Karađorđevo, between Presidents Milošević and Tudjman. Subsequent to this meeting, the number of journalists reported that they had discussed or reached an agreement upon the partition of Bosnia.
Isti dan se Tudjman vratio iz Karađorđeva, rekao nam je da nas armija neće napasti, da ima garancije generala Veljka Kadijevića i Slobodana Miloševića, a da Bosna teško može opstati, mi možemo dobiti banovinske granice i još je Tudjman rekao da mu je Milošević širokogrudno rekao neka Hrvatska još uzme Cazin, Kladušu i Bihać, jer je to takozvana Turska Hrvatska, to Srbiji ne treba.
Na moju inicijativu došlo je do sastanka i razgovora sa Miloševićem u Beogradu i sa Tudjmanom u Zagrebu. Na moje direktno pitanje, mislim da ćete vi moći to tako napraviti bez krvi, i to čak bez krvi do koljena. Milošević je rekao da u to on uopće ne vjeruje, da su Bosna i Hercegovina i tako imaju pretežan dio stanovnika hrvatske i srpske nacionalnosti i da zbog toga misli da neće doći do nekog sukoba, a ostalom da i tako kad su oni razgovarali da su predviđali jednu enklavu za muslimane i da u toj enklavi ti muslimani mogu živjeti.
Javna hrvatska politika uvijek je polazila od toga da je Bosna država, da je ona cjelovita i da je Hrvatska prva priznala Bosnu i Hercegovinu. Međutim, objektivno, gledajući sve ono što se kasnije događalo, kad Milošević stvara na teritoriju Bosne i Hercegovine Srpsku republiku, Hrvati najprije Hrvatsku zajednicu Herceg-Bosnu, a kasnije Republiku Herceg-Bosnu, jasno je bilo da to nije učvršćivalo Bosnu i Hercegovinu, nego da je to razbijalo Bosnu i Hercegovinu.
Tudjmanu sam isto to rekao. Rekao sam između ostaloga i to, zar ti misliš da će ljudi koji će se rađati uz pušku i umirati uz pušku, da to neće značiti palestinizacija Bosne i Hercegovine. Tudjman je mislio da to neće biti tako kao Milošević, samo na drugi način. Rekao je, Europa prvo ne može dozvoliti jednu muslimansku državu u svom srcu, mi ćemo dobiti podršku Europe.
In May of 1992, an agreement was reached in principle between Mate Boban, speaking for the Bosnian Croats, and Radovan Karadzic, speaking for the Bosnian Serbs in Graz. Thus, discussions, or speculation of discussions, was rampant at this period of time, really, about the possibility of partition. It was considered an issue that was very much on the table in terms of both the Serbs and Croats at this time.
Znači, nakon nekog vremena ja sam čuo o njemu i pitao sam i Matu Bobana što on mi može reći o tom sastanku. On kaže, ne puno, tu nije puno potpisano, ali smo sada makar u nečemu načisto da smo Hrvati i Srbi raščistili sve dileme i mi više nemamo nijednog razloga za više sukobljavanje između Hrvata i Srba u Bosni i Hercegovini.
nitko nije demantirao da je bio sastanak između Bobana i Karadžića u Gracu. Dapače, kasnije je bilo to prezentirano da su oni tom prilikom napravili neki sporazum po kojem je Boban rekao da nema Hrvata u Sarajevu, ako ih ima neka Karadžić vodi o njima računa. A opet Karadžić je to uzvratio, ako ima Srba u Mostaru, da Boban vodi računa. Međutim, to nije interesantno za ovaj proces, jer ja govorim o razvoju situacije koja je dovela do toga da su napravljene 3 katastrofalne greške prema Hrvatskoj narodnoj Bosni, prema državi Bosni i Hercegovini i u krajnjoj liniji prema državi Hrvatskoj, koja snosi mnoge konsekvence zbog osude međunarodne javnosti.
Under the Vance-Owen peace plan, Your Honors, Bosnia and Herzegovina was to become a decentralized state. It was to be divided into 10 provinces, each of which was to be controlled by either the Serbs, the Muslims, or the Croats. The Croats were assigned 3 provinces, provinces 3, 8, and 10. When the Bosnian Croats were shown a map of this territorial division, they were elated. And on the 4th of January, 1993, Mati Boban accepted the Vance-Owen peace plan in full. He liked the map, the division. However, the Muslims and the Serbs did not.
The Vance-Owen plan showed that province number 10 should be governed by the Croats, and therefore the Croats wanted to have an ethnic clean province. Therefore they scared the Muslims out of province number 10.
It was quite obvious that the Croats were looking at the way in which the Serbs appeared to get away with what they got away with through force of arms. The Serbs take a piece of ground. The political community, the Vance-Owen plan seemed to acquiesce and almost be seen to reward the efforts of the Serbs. And it was our understanding, and certainly my belief, that the Croats thought that this was quite a successful model to emulate.
Well, actually, it was rather good joke around at the moment, at the time. What does HVO stand for? Hvala Vance-Owen, which means thank you, Vance-Owen. And so that, although I didn't think much of it at the time, it's rather ironic in hindsight, and much written about as well. However, on the 2nd of April 1993, the Serbs again rejected the Vance-Owen peace plan. And the following day, Mati Boban said that if the Bosnian Muslims did not agree to implement the terms of the Vance-Owen peace plan by the 15th of April, the HVO would move ahead with its implementation. The following day, the 16th of April, 1993, Blaskic's forces launched a devastating series of well-planned and coordinated surprise attacks in Vitez, Busovac, and Kislyak municipalities. Those municipalities that were to be included in Province 10 under the Vance-Owen peace plan. At the time, I found Ahmići, and it was on the 22nd of April that I found it, and it is to my shame that it happened in my area of responsibility.
Which village? Which village? Ahmići. Okay. So you say there are many babies killed in the village of Ahmići?
No,
I remember responding that I did not believe that, it couldn't happen, and that I would go and investigate, and so I did. So I recrossed the lines and drove to the village of Ahmići. And I discovered that I was wrong. About a third of the way through the village, I think, some soldiers shouted for me. I went there and we discovered the first house where we could identify dead bodies. A man and a child, probably a teenage boy, were in the front entrance, and at the back, even worse, it looked like the remains of several people, clearly one adult, possibly two women, and several children.
It looks like the father and the son try to defend the mother and the daughters. The mother and the daughters being in the cellars. The father and the son possibly shot and then burnt upstairs. And then some swine, someone has deliberately set fire to the cellar, and the mother and possibly the daughters and the young children have all died, 5 or 6 in the cellar. It is quite horrifying.
We noticed that there were numerous animals which had been killed, a lot of livestock which was rotting in buildings in the middle of the road. We obviously smelled the stench of rotting bodies. There were still apparently numerous bodies which had not been recovered from the buildings. And there was, as people would say, a smell of death in the village.
I hope very much they were dead before the house caught fire. It looks like I hope very much they were. They set fire to the house burned through, the roofs and the ceilings falling on top of the body, and you've got the remnants of the some of the children very small. Yes, these children, some of the children.
Those children were still alive when they've been burned. How can you imagine this? I didn't thought that you are still criminals, for instance. When you see that, you are no more different. You are just a human being, saying it's not acceptable. Who is responsible? You have to find it. It's absolutely disgusting. People who have done this must be punished. And if nobody does it, so who can we believe?
I just had the HBO telling me no cameras, I told them to get stopped.
Do you have permission of HBO?
I don't need the permission of bloody HBO. I am from the United Nations. As far as I'm concerned, what has happened here is disgraceful. Bad luck, my friend. You know, there are whole families up there that have been massacred. I'd like to know who's done it.
has done it? Who is responsible?
Well,
it's not you, obviously, is it?
I have asked him why no one has been arrested. To my knowledge, no one has been arrested. And I've asked him why nothing seems to be happening, because people are demanding answers. More to the point, we discovered 3 more bodies this morning, an adult and 2 children, possibly 3, they're not sure, because the remains were so badly destroyed.
It looked to me to have all the makings of what we would call a cordon and search, or a cordon and destroy operation, if you will. In other words, if you don't want the enemy to be able to withdraw, you would place cut-offs sighted over likely lines of withdrawal from the village, or be the objective, so that you could shoot any of the enemy who were leaving the objective if you didn't want them to escape.
I believe that approximately 40 to 70 people may have taken part in this. I believe that the weapons used were mortars and small arms, and petrol and Zippo lighters. I believe that each house was visited systematically. I believe that it was visited by small squads of men who determined who was in the house, and by their ethnic origin determined whether they lived or they died.
2 things struck one as almost surreal. And that was the total destruction and devastation of one part of the village. And in the southern part of the village, as if a line was drawn in the sand, there were a whole series of houses that didn't have a scratch on them. And there were people in those houses who came out and sort of shouted things at us and then went in, but wouldn't come and talk to us. We tried knocking on the doors to ask them what had happened, and they wouldn't talk to us.
We decided the following day to try and locate some of the survivors. We managed to locate about 100 of the survivors from Ahmići, who were now at a refugee collection center in Zenica. We spoke with these people for several hours to get an eyewitness account of what had happened, and then to try to juxtapose that account with the physical evidence which we had seen in Ahmići. Practically all of the people indicated to us that at about 5:30 a.m. in the morning, around the time when the morning prayers were being said from the minarets in the village, that they had heard explosions, and that many of them had escaped from their homes. They said that after the bombardment, the soldiers went door to door. In certain cases, they would throw grenades into homes or set the homes on fire. And when the occupants would come out of the homes, they would simply execute them right there.